What do you think is Muklo? You see, as I was walking around some streets in Cebu, there was these people, there are a lot of people that I'm hearing calling each other Muklo, or maybe tagging each other, teasing each other Muklo. I don't really know what it means. It seems like it's the worst term that could ever be tagged to someone or named to someone. And then I asked some of my friends, colleagues, and professors, in fact, and others here in Cebu. They told me that Muklo is actually a derogatory term and a Visaya term, which actually means uneducated, uncivilized, what else? Ignorant, barbaric, scary, or what have you there. All those negative things. But the saddest part there is actually that they said that again, it's a derogatory term, which means barbaric, hostile, uneducated, uncivilized. But the saddest part there is the last line when they said, which is being referred to and addressed to the Muslim Filipinos. It sounds so bad, you know. I thought about it a lot of times, and I was trying to comprehend on why people call these Muslim Filipinos Muklo. Are these people really barbaric? Are these people really scary? Are these people really, you know, uneducated and uncivilized? I don't think so. Perhaps, let's first talk about how I started with the peace advocacy. That's just the introduction, by the way. Okay. So 7 years ago, can you guess who that is? Yeah, yes. 7 years ago, I never really cared about people around me. By the way, I'm from Lanao del Sur. I'm from Marawi City, the Islamic city of Marawi. Living there, I never thought that, I've seen people, and I see no differences. I felt no discrimination. It seems to me like, why do I even have to bother myself to think about these Moros, these Marinos? I was even thinking, why am I calling myself a Moro? Why am I calling myself a Marino? When in fact I can be Filipino or what, right? But the thing is, I never really appreciated my identity before. That's why maybe I had this vision before. And maybe, because of that vision, I was so jeje before. You know jeje, right? I was so jeje before that I called myself Rockstop. Because I wanted in 10 years to be a stupid rock star worldwide. So ambitious, so jeje. But yes, stepping up from high school, of course, I really thought that that's the only thing that I could make myself different from people. Then, from that area, Lanao del Sur, where I've seen that it's actually a densely populated area by the Moros, the Marinos, the Muslims. 90 to 95% are all Muslims and Marinos there. So maybe that's the reason why I've never seen any differences, because I am, for one of them. So upon going to college, I even actually thought on college I might be partying all night, I might be drinking till morning or whatever there. But it was all different. When I got to college, by the way, I had my first year in college in TEDxUniversity. That's in Cagayan de Oro. When I was there, I began realizing that I began noticing the differences of the people, and that includes myself. The distinction of myself among the people. Living in Cagayan de Oro City, of course, it's a very diverse city also. There are a lot of Marinos, but at the same time there are a lot of Christians, there are a lot of Cebuanos, there are a lot of Butuanos. A lot of people go there to study. Just like here in Cebu also. People go here to study. And so we can see differences. We see diversity. We can see here foreigners, we can see here Boholanos, we can see here mga Warais, we can also see here even those who are from Luzon, in fact, Tagalogs, etc. But the thing is, people have been talking about differences, and people have been saying that differences divide us. People say, if you check on social media, people would say that it is our differences that divide us. People would say that religions divide people. People are saying that cultures divide people. People are saying that ethnicity divides people, politics divides people, and whatever divides people. Everything that is about differences divides people. But I would like to debunk that idea. Because, of course, we began to think each of us is different. We began to think that each of us is maybe superior over the other, or somebody's inferior over the other. We fail to see that our differences are actually the things that makes us beautiful. It is our differences that makes us perhaps like a salad bowl, where you get to appreciate every ingredient of it. Like it's a very delicious mango, it's a very delicious banana, it's a very delicious pineapple. In the same way that we have in our cultures and religions. It is the differences that we have that lets us appreciate what we have and what we don't have. It is our differences that makes our culture more beautiful. In fact, one person said here, it is not our differences that divide us. It is our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences. So, upon realizing that, yes, I am different, I am a Moro, I am a Maranao, and so I have to treasure this. Because if I try to blend in, as they say, this is a melting pot of cultures. If I try to blend in and pour everything that I have and leave nothing for myself, leave nothing as a distinction for myself, then what would make me different at all if I put everything on the melting pot? So, before we talk about that, that seems so scary for you. So, the difference that we have in the country. In the country, in the Philippines, let's talk about one of the group of people, one of these people in the Philippines that are usually having these misconceptions. People who are perceived as very negative. Try to check on Google, or maybe try to ask your friend behind you, or in your, with you right now. Ask them, what comes to their mind when they hear the word Bangsamoro? What comes to their mind when they hear the word Maranao? Or what comes to their mind when they hear the word Moro, at least? Most likely, as I defined a while ago, Muklo is barbaric, all those things. But when you try to check on Google, Bangsamoro, people would say, these are the barbaric people, having guns, having rifles, having all these things that are very scary, that causes war. People who are rallying for, we don't even know what they're rallying for. This is how people perceive them. This is how people perceive us. They're rallying actually for the Bangsamoro basically. And of course, everybody knows this, right? The Zamboanga siege. But aside from the Zamboanga siege, there are a lot of siege that happen in Mindanao. And whenever you say Bangsamoro, automatically a lot of people would say they're the cause of the sieges and wars in Mindanao. They're the causes of conflict in Mindanao that is destroying everything in Mindanao. Everything. I don't even know what they mean with everything. So, I'm here today to reintroduce it because we're talking about regeneration. And by talking about regeneration, I would like to reintroduce to you, because of course you've already known Moros as Muklos, as those people who are barbaric, scary, etc. But now let's try to check on history, just a brief history, and then try to check on the modern Bangsamoro people. The Bangsamoro people before, they actually started, during the pre-colonial era, we only have the Lumans here in the country. We know that, right? But in 1300s, when Islam came to Sulu, and then 1400s to Maguindanao, Islam was embraced by a lot of Lumads. And so these Lumads who embraced Islam were the Muslim indigenous people whom we call today as the Moros. Moros, which actually came from the term from the Moors of Moroccan, which was tagged by the Spaniards. And the Lumads are still friends with them until now. So, the only hurtful, I guess, just for us to fast forward, the only things that are the highlights, perhaps, on the history that made the Bangsamoro people more oppressed was that during the Treaty of Paris, because we know that in 333 years, the Mindanao, or Minsupala region, Mindanao, Sulu, Palawan region, was never conquered by the Spaniards, right? But the thing is, in Treaty of Paris, when Spain lost to war against America, they sold the Philippines to the United States of America for $20 million. And they illegally annexed the Mindanao, Sulu, Palawan region. And from those times, our Moro leaders have been trying to resist this occupation of the Americans, and at the same time resist the occupations of the Filipinos as well. Because of course, remember what I told you a while ago about the Muklo, right? Of why people still have that idea. The idea there is that the Spaniards has introduced to us the Moros as our enemies. You remember, did you know Moro, right? Moro, which is actually a play that depicts a story or war between the Muslims and the Christians. It's actually one of the dividing factor that was given to us, injected to us by the Spaniards. In fact, if you try to recall it, until now, even if we rarely see the Moro play today, but still the stories were introduced to our ancestors, and then to their children's, and then to their children's children, and then until now. Although not really by play, but on our mentality. It has been injected to us that these Moros are our enemies, these Moros are like this and like that, without even looking at the reality. So, there are a lot of things that happen in the Bangsamoro which I think would not be, which I won't be able to storytell today because it's too long. But I hope you do research on it. So, aside from those history, one of the highlights was also, do you know these people? Some of you may have some relatives, perhaps, maybe, from them. These are the Ilaga movement. Ilaga movement is a Catholic, is an extremist Catholic, pro-government armed organization that is aimed to minoritize the Moros and the Lumads by massive killings. This was never never revealed in media. But maybe they were, but not popularly. These are the Ilaga movement who until now has been trying to minoritize really the people in Mindanao. If we try to look back on history, around in 1800s or 1900s, were around 80% or 90% or 80% of Muslim Filipinos there. And at the same time, the rest were Lumads. And now, if you try to look at it, it's very low. I mean, the population of the Moros are very low at the same time with the Lumads. 20% of the Moros and then around 6% or 10% of the Lumads. So, moving on. Let's move forward in that. Let's move on. Let's talk about the differences. Do we really have to make our differences divide us? It actually depends on us. It depends on how we perceive things. If you try to perceive things as differences, if you try to perceive differences as an opportunity, then most likely you will have something to harvest for. By the way, let me introduce to you the modern day Bangsamoro. You ride jeepneys, right? We also commute jeepneys. I am a Moro. Yes, we also ride jeepneys. And you do family gatherings as Moro, as families, you do. As Christians. We also do family gatherings. You do rallies or protests. We also do rallies and protests. You do hangouts with your friends. We also do hangouts with our friends. You do community services, and we also do community services. We do groupies, and you do groupies. And of course, sometimes when I'm bored, I also do OOTDs. Of course. So, my point here is that, okay, sorry, never mind that. My point here is that, although we have differences, we have to respect the differences, acknowledge it, recognize it, and accept it, celebrate it. And after that, let us try to see the common grounds, our similarities, because that is what will make us humans, and that is what will unite us humans. And again, I am Jamil Adiong. I am a Moro, and I am not a Muklo. I am a Muslim, and I am not a terrorist. So, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.